when you get the shit done, when you finally make it, when you finally have the evidence. Trust does not work like that. Trust lives here and now, and it's the only place you'll ever have access to it. Here we go. This is a video for you right now. If you feel like you don't have the evidence to trust yourself, you don't have the stats or the data or the graphs to start saying it's going to work out. In fact, these moments are really precious. And so if you're in one of these moments right now where you know you get to trust yourself, you know that things will work out, but you don't know that things will work out, this video is for you. My name is Taylor Renegar, and welcome back to The Wealthy Changemaker, where we talk all things politics, life, leadership, and earth. So how do we trust ourselves fully, especially in a time of chaos? And I'm not even just talking about that external chaos. I'm talking about the type of chaos that happens inward when we feel like we can't commit and stay committed to any sort of routine, any sort of work we want to do, any sort of relationship. When it feels like we can't even show up to ourselves, how do we begin to trust ourselves again? This is like, I get goosebumps with this question, because if you're in a place asking yourself this question, you have been invited. You have been invited to create something bigger, to create something that you haven't done before. And so you really are in the most innovative space that exists for a human, is when you're being asked to trust yourself without the evidence. So here's a quick guide, whether it's with money you're trying to figure out, a relationship and a partnership, or family, or the fact that you have this project, this business, this idea that you want to emit from you and into the world. This message, this video is for you. So with that being said, this is the process that I use when I'm beginning to trust myself and I have no information and no data or no idea of how it's going to work out. For example, when I decided to hitchhike across this country you've probably never even heard of, called Mauritania. I was in Africa. I was in Senegal at the time, just on the other side of the border. And I knew that this country was extremely Arab-based and very masculine-based. And in terms of culture, and as a woman by myself, venturing across this country to hitchhike and catch this amazing train, the iron ore train, in the other side of the country in the Sahara, I knew I couldn't do it by myself. And so I didn't know how I was going to figure it out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know how I would create the funds or the relationship to have someone to do it with me. So this is really a time, if you're in this type of metaphorical place, and you're probably in a much more real space than, say, if you're in Africa trying to hitchhike across a country. That might seem like a luxury for you right now. The thing is we have these crazy experiences that could sound as crazy as trying to hitchhike the Sahara. And we don't know how to do them. We know that we want to fucking do them. We know that it doesn't even make logical sense, but we know that we want to do it and we can't get it off our mind, and not doing it is making us crazy. And so there's a point of knowing, this is the core of trusting yourself, is making the decision, making peace with the fact that you get to trust yourself. And when you're aware that you get to trust yourself, that's finished. That's, end of conversation. This is what I'm doing. Then you have no other choice but to figure out how to trust yourself. When I decided that I was going to hitchhike across the Sahara, I knew that I got to figure out and trust myself that everything that I didn't know how to do was going to be provided for me. And so trust is not a game for the mind, but it is a tool that can help soothe the mind in times of unknown. So that first piece of making a decision and making peace with the fact that you're going to trust yourself no matter what is crucial. And then that brings us into the next piece of trusting yourself fully. I like to use permaculture practices to understand how to build something sustainable, like trusting yourself, like a foundation where you really trust yourself. And one of the first things that we know about permaculture when we want to create a biodiverse, rich piece of land that's taking care of itself, that doesn't need all this support from the human going and tilling the soil and making sure there's fertilizer. Like, if we don't want to go that route anymore, then what we do know is that what we get to do before building anything on the land is we get to observe it. Whether we want to, we want to make a, Garden of Eden, or whether we want to make a beautiful orchard, or whatever that is, right? We get to first observe the lay of the land. And so when you're starting to trust yourself again, you actually get to observe a lay of the land. You get to observe what is really going on for you. Where are your shadows? Where is that voice in your head? Where is your little childhood self freaking out about the fact that you don't have security and stability right now, and you don't know how things are going to work out? And you don't know if you're taking a risk that's going to bite you in the ass later. You get, just the fact that you're observing, that you're having that experience is extremely powerful, because you're no longer at the reaction of the experience, but rather you become a co-creator, a partner of the experience. You're not just an employee of it, if you will, but you're a partner. And so that's where observing the lay of the land, observing what I have emotions around. Do I have emotions around my relationship that I haven't been speaking, or that I've just been pushing to the side and rationalizing? Great. We get to know that. Do I have emotions of the fact that I'm afraid to face the fact that I can't check my email right now because it gives me so much anxiety, or I don't want to check my messages, or I don't want to check how much responses I got for this thing that I sent out, right? When we can just be aware that we're having that experience, then we can work with it, then we can partner with it. But if we're in denial of an experience that we are having, then we become an employee, we become reactor of whatever experience, whatever emotion we're having. So you get into observation mode when you're trusting. And then that really leads us into a space where we can start to explore what's going on in our body. And when you're in your body, this is really where the experience of trust lives. So the third part is really about getting into your body and getting into a space of, okay, I can feel my heart beating. I can feel that, I have this tension in my chest and this rock in my stomach. I can feel that I ache in my lower back. And once you're in your body, then we can start to see these are the places where trust gets to be planted. Trust gets to be created. There are a million methods to start doing this, but to be able to create trust in your body, that starts with something like a deep breath. That starts with something like noticing, wow, I have some back pain right here in my mid-back, or that my throat is really, really tight right now. And taking a deep breath into that, not trying to fix it, not trying to solve it, not trying to get rid of it, right? We're in this space of being present with where we are, and that's where trust lives. Trust doesn't live when you get the shit done, when you finally make it, when you finally have the evidence. Trust does not work like that. Trust lives here and now, and it's the only place you'll ever have access to it. And the most easy way to get into connection with the experience of trust is inside of your body. So, trusting and taking a deep breath, you've already made the decision to trust yourself. You've already made peace with the fact that you get to trust yourself. No more, I'll trust myself when it happens, when that thing finally comes through, after I've trekked the Sahara, right? I trust myself now. The final thing that is really important that a lot of us forget is that when we trust ourselves, this is actually a very simple process. And the mind likes to make it very complicated. We like to make it all these complexities. And what if these different things happen in the house, and the what ifs, and right? What's really important with trust is that it gets to be very simple. It gets to be in relationship with the happening, all that's around you that you can't control, in a very simple way, which can feel like a big yes or a no, or a right now or a not right now. And so this trust doesn't include questioning yourself and going into all these what if scenarios and how to's and all of these plans and strategies. That comes when we go into strategy mode. This is really supportive when we have deep trust in ourselves. But really, when we start trusting ourselves in chaotic times, it starts with the simplicity of, this is one thing that works for me right now. This is one thing that feels yes for me right now. I'm not thinking on the logical standpoint of this feels proper, appropriate, whatever. Trust is really about us feeling in the moment the simplicity of a choice, the simplicity of the next step, the simplicity of the next step, not the whole array of everything. Because when we're in that big idea of how it should be and the expectation, then we're not really in the present moment, which is where trust is. So there's a lot of excitement that you might be able to feel, and nervousness and anxiety and maybe even frustration. If you're in your body, we can work with it, we can be with it, we don't have to react to it. And then we can simply see, okay, this person is making me frustrated. What is the simple next step here? The simple next step, the simple, easy one to create that trust in myself. Not to, go crazy on someone else that you're upset with or you're annoyed with, or that things aren't working out for you, or that it's not happening for you. The simple next step is to trust yourself in whatever that next step is. To trust yourself from a place of, I know that releasing this is what I want to express. I know that sending this email, I know that talking to this person over here is the simple next step to me getting across the Sahara and not knowing how to do it. And I can tell you that the most beautiful part about trusting yourself really has to do with this courage of doing it when you don't know how it's going to work out. And just the most satisfying part of trust is that experience of kind of that risk, but there's a calmness in the riskiness. And I'm not sure who this is going to serve today, but this is coming through. And so I trust that whatever I've shared here is really meant to be for the next step you're in. And so what is that simple next step for you? It's probably something you already know. And the key here is not being attached to the outcome, because when we trust and we take a step, often we might psych ourselves out. We might go off track from trusting ourselves because we get scared that, that one thing didn't turn out the way I wanted to. When that next step doesn't turn out the way that you want it to, whatever reaction happens after it, I want you to celebrate. Celebrate that you took the step. Celebrate that there is something that is in response to you trusting yourself. And one of the biggest things that I've heard from really successful entrepreneurs is that you want to fail fast and you want to fail inexpensively. Inexpensively could be, in more energetic terms, it could be fail with the least cost of, expelling your own energy and your anger and whatever, propelling yourself in these cycles. Fail fast and simply. And when you can get connected to the failure intimately, you can see the reactions of, I'm afraid to feel rejected. I'm afraid that things won't work out for me and that I'll end up in this scenario that you, in your mind, probably isn't even rational. I'm going to be homeless on the side of the road in the cold winter day, no blankets, right? This is kind of the scenarios our minds bring us to that maybe we're not even aware of. So I invite you to get connected to failure here and see what comes up for you. See how that flows, see how that vibes, see what that simple next step offers you, and keep trusting yourself a simple process. It's the most satisfying thing to get across the Sahara and, figuring out how to hitchhike from car to car and surviving in 115 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like 45 Celsius. And without water for hours, walking 10 kilometers, and to get to this oasis, and then to get to, the next spot of seeing deep in the Sahara, this place called Atlantis, and then riding on top of the world's longest train called the iron ore train, and taking that overnight 15 hours to take another hitchhike into Morocco. Like, this is what trusting yourself can really, really offer you, is the experience of a lifetime that might feel uncomfortable. You might not get a shower, metaphorically speaking, for like a week. But the satisfaction and the lessons from experiencing something so intimate with yourself, which is trusting you, despite the evidence, despite the strategy of how to do this and this and this and this, how to get the next car, how to get the next amount of money, how to get the person who will take you there, how to know the right mentor, the right this. Trusting yourself comes when it looks like it won't happen. So, thank you for being here with me. I so enjoyed just riffing about this experience of trust. The experience of trust is extremely special and unique, and it is the most important thing in any political relationship, any spiritual relationship, any loving relationship. There gets to be a foundation of trust. And so if you follow these steps, that's how you build a foundation of trust, is when you make the decision and you make peace with the fact that you're going to trust yourself. 2 is you go into observation mode and just kind of become a witness of the lay of the land. What's going on, where the shadows are, where the light is, where the emotions are, where do the emotions flow. And this will bring you into your body, where you can start to witness and see where is trust missing in my body and where is it existing in my body. And trust gets to be a physical, tangible experience within you. And you'll know through your breath, you'll know through the muscles in your body relaxing. You'll know it. And then that takes you into the simplicity of that simple next action. Just one simple next action, one simple conversation, one simple yes. It's not trying to force everything into place. There's a simple next action. And remember to fail a little bit here and there. If you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up to help it get to more people. And if you really, really, really like this video, subscribe to hear more. So much love and so much light. My name is Taylor Anna Garrett, and I will catch you next time on The Wealthy Changemaker.